branded products are being sold at 30-40% off. But once they withdrew that discount, that particular category has already gone down. Then you look at these two factors. Then you have convenience and then the choices. A typical consumer, if he wants to buy something, he knows what he has to buy. Window shopping do happen. People do they have some impulse purchases, but in case somebody wants to buy something, he knows what exactly he's going to buy. He can go to a store and buy what he wants to buy because he knows that he can connect with the shopkeeper. He knows people. Very important that, there's a trust factor. He goes there and he talks to somebody, checks the material, and then he buys it. There are also some people, what they do is they do offline research and buy online. Even the reverse happens. People do online research and buy offline. So all these things are new learnings. The offline bricks and mortar, they have to learn from this. It's a competition. It's another channel which is going to stay. What will happen in future? We don't know. But you look at the mature market, a market like US, where internet penetration is almost 80-90%, they have not gone more than 10%. Today, the growth, people are talking about 30-40%, the base was very, very small. But if you look at when you grow to a certain percentage, then the growth is going to be again doubled, maybe 10%, 11%, to, may not be 30-40%, the way that today retail is growing. So, as online, as you said rightly, is welcome because that's another channel where the people are going to buy. The consumption is going to increase. Today, somebody is spending 1,000 rupees on shopping. They may start spending 1,200 rupees, which is a welcome sign. There are a lot of opportunities for retailers as well. But you need to be careful about it and need to change. You have to create a lot of experience. If I take you in the early 80s, if you look at what happened to the movies, we had VCR, VC, people used to watch movie only sitting at home. But what happened, if you look at 20 years back again, people got new theaters came in, a lot of experience, and people started coming back to the theater, and they are paying more money today. So that's again a new model. So this will continue to happen, as I said, things will change, new technology will come, buyers will have more choices. As a customer, makes you feel happy, and as somebody from the industry, you have to be a little more smarter.
So Manish, as a brand owner yourself, does it really matter to you whether you are much more online or much more offline?
As I said earlier, that today we've all got to embrace as brand owners or business creators that we can't ignore any channel of marketing where we can possibly reach out to a customer. Just to give you a small example, Being Human is available in all the e-commerce platforms that are significant in this country, and we are very soon building our own as well with a difference. But we have delivered merchandise in almost 550 towns, cities, and small villages within the country. So the kind of reach e-commerce can have is phenomenal. Obviously, you need to accumulate all kind of omni-channel businesses to make yourself in a certain way or make yourself sizable in your business. But also, fortunately, we are dealing with a celebrity in the brand who's one of the most followed individual in the country. His social media platform is as big as, I think, 40 million people, which is quite large. And in fact, we look at it as an opportunity to connect with his fans and connect with the people who can follow the brand through the number of people that follow him. So, but at the end, when you're doing online and offline, you've got to create great experiences on both the platforms. You can easily differentiate it by having certain specific categories of products from your brand selling only online or available only online, and vice versa. You can have maybe some limited editions available only in the stores. That's provided you make it sizable, because eventually it's the economies of scale that makes the business work. But today, the way online people have also experimented and evolved, as in there's something like, I had a meeting with the CEO of Flipkart apparel and lifestyle division, and they've created a image tracking kind of a experience for consumers, as in if you are sitting with that Nehru jacket and if I take a picture of you and I want something similar, I can post it on Flipkart and it gives out 35 images of the similar kind of a product available with different brands. So that's astonishing. When I saw that, I was like, wow. For the same reason, what we have done in our stores, we've not ignored the digital side. As Professor was showing experiences in Burberry and other stores, we are one of the first few in the country to come out with a digital interactive system within our stores where a consumer can just touch the screen and mix and match and see the choices of garments, or he can make a coordinate set of. He can also go and see the favorites. He can post his picture. He can email or WhatsApp it to a friend or his wife or his girlfriend to take her opinion from the store itself. So if you can make things convenient at your fingertips, why not? And apart from that, the design of the store, you have to make it larger than life for somebody to step into the store and experience the whole brand in a real way. The people who work on the shop floor, how pleasing they are, how they invite the consumers and what kind of a relationship they establish has to be enhanced. Visual merchandising has become a very, very important factor today, whereby, in a crowded atmosphere in a mall where consumers are walking down the aisle, if they see something attractive happening on your window, like a digital screen or a very well done up window with mannequins or with any kind of decoration, definitely attracts footfall. Loyalty programs which are only store based can be increased for people to go to the brick and mortar more and more and shop there. So there are a whole lot of things that you can create in order to attract footfalls on the brick and mortar formats. But as I mentioned that each business format has to have innovation of sorts for a consumer to be more interested in coming to you and making his purchase.
So just for us to understand, since I think this is going off quite often, since you've been dealing with online and offline now, what is the kind of percentage of business that now is given to you from online vendors as compared to offline business of yours?
Last year, I think 12% of our top line came from online, which is quite significant.
And how much was it a year before?
It was 8%. I think it grew.
Okay.
And again, we have degrown this year on purpose, purely because we were not ready for discounting.
Okay.
Online became a great platform for discounting and a discount. Even the margins that we gave to the online player, he gave it back from his margins to the consumer, but eventually it somewhere damages the brand in a long run. You can have special days planned whereby you please all the online community, but you can't do it on a regular basis. You've got to be very careful. There's a very thin line between making your brand an aspirational brand and making it available everywhere. So you've got to differentiate, and you've got to give out those special days, like how Flipkart would have a big billion day or Alibaba would have. So that's fine, but you can't make it a habit. Even the online players are happy, as a matter of fact. Their margins have improved. Even though there's been a dip in the turnover, but their margins have improved. And we are dealing in fashion, where touch, feel, look, fit is very, very important. If it's consumer goods or electronics or things like that, it's still difficult for them. But in fashion, you can always differentiate and create a better experience. But I would still say that the percentage of online business would remain between 10 to 15%.
So are you really in control of the prices online?
Yes, now very much. Initially, we didn't know what the partners were doing, but the contracts have been reworked now, and we made things very, very clear.
Okay. So we go on to Vinay. Vinay, you've been dealing with customers. I think from the time I've known you, at least you've always been sort of talking about loyalty programs, consumers, and then I think we've had quite a bit of discussion about this whole concept of understanding customers. I think Rohit gave a very nice view about what's happening to understanding customers. How do you view this whole concept of loyalty of consumers in the modern age? Is there loyalty ever existing at all?
Yeah, so I think loyalty is a misused term in that sense, and you can define it in different ways. And really, a loyalty program, from a very retailer standpoint, is about getting data from customers. And am I audible? Yeah, great. So a loyalty program, is no longer, because a customer shops in a variety of outlets. Let's not fool ourselves that a customer comes only to your brand. So you always have a share of wallet, okay, some part of his wallet, and typically that's a single-digit percentage. It's not a huge number. Okay. Loyalty program is a way of getting customers to give you their data free of, and that's a charge you pay them. Points is what you pay them, data is what they give you, and really what you do with the data is up to you in terms of how you leverage sales. So in that sense, a loyalty program very, very important. Okay, I'll just touch upon a couple of more areas to add on to that. If you look at the way, I think Mukesh touched on it, and even in international societies, the penetration of online to total retail, take US, I think the number is around 10%, maybe a shade lower. If I keep the omni-channel, if I keep Macy's kind of business, which is online, offline, out of it, pure online is 10%. Maybe in Europe the number might be what, 10%, 15%. India is going to take India modern retail as a share of total retail. Kumar, would be what, 10% give or take? Now? Yeah? 8.5. Now modern retail as a percentage of total retail. Total retail about 600 billion in India, give or take. Okay. Now in India for online, like it's good that brands like Being Human have already crossed 10%. But if I take the whole market at large, it's always going to be single digit. Now, if you were a retailer and you had 90 or 95% of the market is brick and mortar and 5% is online. Yes, online is growing. Okay. Would you defocus on your brick and mortar? Certainly not, right? You would focus on online and you would focus on what we call omni-channel. So one, there is a clear market size argument, which I would raise. The second one is a customer side argument, which is as a customer, in India, modern retail is what? 25 years old now? Shoppers Stop was the first modern retailer, Kumar, 91. There were others. Yeah, so let's say 2 to 3 decades old is what modern retail is in India. Okay, that's one generation, 1.5 generations. Okay, customers in India still like to go out. So unlike in maybe the US, where shopping is a painful activity, here people don't go out just for shopping. It's actually part of an evening out. I mean, we don't have bloody gardens in this city. Okay, so you go to these malls, right, Mukesh? And spend time, and it's a social activity, and that's not going to change in a big rush. And I think the third important point is a very what I call, and I'm urging ET also to do some work on this, which is unit economics of online. Okay, let me give you an example of a popular bookstore compared to a e-book store. Now, both of them are selling a particular book, and let's say the MRP of that book is about 300 rupees. Out of that 300 rupees, it's fair to assume that that e-store as well as the brick and mortar is getting a similar amount of margin. Let's say that margin is 32%, okay, for example. Okay, the e-store is selling that book at 40% off to begin with. So he's obviously giving away more than what he makes on a per book basis. Apart from that, there is the cost of, you guys know that the cost of swiping a credit card, okay, in a offline is less than half than it is online. There are various reasons for it. Okay, but there is about a couple of percentage sitting there as extra cost. There is a cost of COD. Now, COD is great for customers, but it comes at a huge cost to the company. Okay, there are returns. You guys know the numbers in terms of double-digit kind of percentage return, because it's very easy to order something COD. You didn't like it, you gave it back. In fact, there was a shoe company which I think has shut down, which was sending you multiple pairs. So if you ordered size 7, they also send you, I think, 6 and 8. And then you chose, and then you could give all the 3 back. Okay, if you sit and add up, and I'm just giving you this as a hypothetical example, the economics at a unit level. Okay, forget about technology cost, forget about people cost, and forget about fixed cost. Just on a variable transaction basis, if you sit and do the math, you will see that this is a very, very different kind of a ball game. So I think the whole phenomenon of omni-channel retailing, and I think internationally, John Lewis in UK or even Tesco has demonstrated how they can combine store as well as online. And after a point, your best customer, your most loyal customer is actually shopping on both channels. And the customer himself cannot recollect whether he ordered that particular bottle of jam, was it done through online or was it done through offline. Or Macy's in the US is doing fabulous work. So I think there is a huge future for brick and mortar in brick and mortar itself. Additionally, if we can get the omni-channel right, and I don't think any of the retailers in India have still cracked it, okay? If we can get it right, the huge future there. And we don't have to keep awake worrying about online, what are they discounting, forget it, because like I said, the objective of business at least is to someday make money. So I think things will even out over a period of time.
So Professor, I've got two questions for you. One is a very small question, which I think we'll need an answer for, is I think it accounts for almost all the consumers here. You can tell me if I'm wrong here. When customers are asked to give their details online, they are willing to give their telephone number, they are willing to give their mobile number, they are willing to give their email address, they are willing to give a whole lot of details online. And when they are asked the same questions when they are shopping inside a store, quite often customers are hesitant. At least that's been my observation. Is it right or is it wrong? Yeah. So you touched upon trust. So I would have thought that if you are dealing with somebody who is not even visible, a customer should not be giving those details, but they seem to be willing to trust an online portal more than what they do offline. Is there any science to this? Why does this happen at all?
Yeah, this is a big issue that we investigated also in our research, that is privacy issue. Here the culture plays a key role. Collectivistic culture, they give online everything. Individualistic culture, they are a little bit more prudent on this. Just to give you an example, if we see that on the other side there is a site, a website, or a company that we can trust because it's possible that it's sure that the company will not sell our data, for example, or not use the data for other things, or they have very good security system, avoiding that hacker they can pick up. If I have this perception, I give more. And this is what we mean about trust. What happens? That collectivistic culture, they trust others much more than individualistic culture. So we have found that in Colombia, that is the most collectivistic country in the world, South America, they give a lot, in particular online. And there is another problem that online there are young people. And young people having a more, we can say, orientation to give, they give more. And this is a big issue also because they cannot control their data.
Okay.
In particular when they are very young.
Okay, so you think the young are willing to trust others, so they are willing to give lots more.
This is a big issue. We are working also with international organizations.
Okay.
Because through e-commerce you can find very strange things. This is a big issue.
People are willing to bear all when it comes to electronic media, whereas when it comes to physically meeting people, they're not willing to give all the details. So that's the worry.
This is clear. There is this orientation.
What's got a view?
Yeah, see, one is, of course, today I'm just talking about what happens in India and what happens on online. The shopper online is actually, he's incentivized to, change his habit, and therefore he gets a discount which is exorbitant in that extent.